Well, the adab of weak hadith is that you must accept it first, and then you talk about it later, talk about the sanad later. You don't discard a weak hadith because the sanad is weak. That is not the adab of the muhaddithun. They never said that, nor did they practice this nonsensical approach to hadith, which is very childish and naive today. Somebody says in some book that this hadith is da'if, then you discard it. No. So the adab of the muhaddithun and the scholars who narrate the hadith, and the adab of the sharihun, the people who commentated on the hadith, they did not blot out any hadith that was assumed to be weak or da'if. So why did the ummah not go through this process of saying, just blot out every weak hadith that we have on the planet, and that's the end of the story. Just edit it. And have a revised edition every year and take out this weak hadith and this weak hadith. They didn't do that, but first of all, because it would be academic dishonesty. So if Imam Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud, if they brought one or two weak hadith in their narration, then the scholars of hadith didn't say, let's edit this and take out the weak hadith, because that is academic distortion. Because that's not Imam Tirmidhi's work, nor is it Ibn Majah's work, nor is it Abu Dawud's work. Then it is your work. Then you write a book and you name it after yourself, instead of saying this is a commentary on Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah. So first and foremost, there's this adab there, the adab refinement in acknowledging that this is what the person wrote. And you must have academic honesty, integrity when you're reporting and narrating someone else's statement. This is the adab. And we don't bring that kind of childish emotion into the discussion. Now, when it comes to understanding whether or not the hadith is weak, it has to do with the chain of narrators. It has nothing to do with the matan, meaning the quote itself. Okay? So they're not discarding the quote. They're saying that there's something wrong with the chain of narrators, and that is something which is debated and debated and debated. And that is for the scholar of hadith to do. It is not for the layperson on the streets to say, this book says that this book says that this hadith is weak. Okay? That's not the layperson's domain. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that Imam Qushayri observes the ritual adab of saying ruwiya. Since this chapter to adab, I'm showing you the adab that Imam Qushayri has with regards to his own knowledge. So he says, ruwiya, it has been narrated. And usually when people use this kind of term and language, and they use what we call the majhul form, the passive form, it usually means that there is a contention about whether or not the statement is genuinely narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or not. So he brings this into the discussion first, that this is a statement. It could be from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it could not be.